If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel and another tutorial. Today I'm happy to sew along with you the Yoshi Sling by Kaur threads. I tell ya, I love making this bag. I am just so impressed with Kaur threads patterns. I'm hooked on them. I just love them to death. So in this tutorial, there are two versions you can make of this bag. There is the bound version as well as the birth version in her pattern. There are instructions for both. In this tutorial, I show you the bound version because I'm a binding girl. I love binding. First, let me show you some of the amazing features of this bag. So it has a removable sling strap, and you can wear it on either side depending. I'm not used to wearing slings, so how it's looking right here. So that's what it looks like on that side. You can also wear it across your front like so. I truly do love this bag, and I'm not a sling girl, and I really love this bag. On the back you have a carry handle, the removable strap, as well as this really cool slip pocket, and my phone fits in there with room to spare. On the front, this is my favorite part. So you have a zipper pocket here, and then in here what looks like a slip pocket is actually a hidden zipper pocket. So two zipper pockets in the front, double zip closure on top, and on the inside there is a slip pocket as well as a zipper pocket. And this one I've done a waterproof canvas with binding. It is a fast sew when you do the bound version. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be too bad doing the birth version either. I love that there's instructions in this pattern for both. What did I make out of this? This is, I want to say it's wolf. It's wolf or coyote. I don't remember which one. It's one of those canine type wood animals. But it's the variegated vinyl, either the coyote or the wolf from Galaxy Customs, as well as the accents in black are the Loon Black Canuck Vinyl from Galaxy Customs. All my hardware, every bit of it, including the zippers and zipper pulls in this one, are from Emmeline Bags. Coco is saying hi. Interfacing in this bag is Decovil Lite, which I got from Emmeline Bags. I used waterproof canvas from Fabricville. What else? So yeah, if you're doing this in cotton, make sure you do also back it with a medium woven interfacing. I didn't have to for this one because I use canvases and faux leathers. So yeah, if you're using Decovil Lite, make sure you follow the instructions, because the way she does her Decovil Lite, I've noticed in a lot of her patterns, is they are measured measurements that you do it as per the pattern. You don't just center it on like you would for most patterns, or like you would automatically think of doing. So make sure you check out the pattern. I do not show you how to interface it in this video, but make sure before you get sewing that you are placing your interfacing properly before fusing it on. Not a hard sew. I did a binding. I did waterproof canvas binding for this one. Super fast. Do not be scared of binding. Trust me, it is not hard to do. Just takes a little practice and then you will become a lover of it, I promise you. What else? Really, I don't think there's really that much more to say. Again, I used vinyl for my handles and my strap. You could definitely use webbing if you prefer. What else to mention? I think that's it. How about we get to making this bag?
You're going to need some rivets, number 5 zipper tape, 2 swivel clasps, a slider, 3 D-rings, 5 zipper pulls, and your nameplate. You're going to need some binding, your handle and crossbody strap pieces, 1 pattern piece A out of your exterior, pattern piece B front zip pocket top, pattern piece C front zip pocket bottom, pattern piece D, front zip tabs, 4 of those. Pattern piece E, your back panel, as well as your 2 lining panels with the same pattern piece. Pattern piece F, your welt pocket strip. Pattern piece G, your top strap tabs, 2 of those, and your interfacing for those. Pattern piece H, 2 exterior exterior zip panels and lining panels. Your base gusset piece. 3 connector pieces. Your front zip pocket lining. Your hidden zip tabs, 2 of those. Front hidden pocket lining, piece M. Your back pocket lining, piece N, 2 of those. Back pocket facing, that's piece O. Your interior zip pocket linings and your slip pocket pieces. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make my handles and my crossbody strap off camera. There's a class for that down below. Now to prepare our connectors, I've drawn a center line down my connector pieces. I'm going to use some double-sided tape to fold those long edges into that center line. You can definitely use clips instead of double-sided tape if you prefer. Then we're going to go ahead and top stitch down each of those sides with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm going to take a little more double-sided tape and place them at the bottom on the wrong side of these connectors, just at the bottom like so. I'm going to slide my D-rings on and then bring them wrong sides together, lining up the bottom short edges for all 3. Now that that's done, we can prepare our zipper here. So what you want to do is take your zipper lining and have it face up, your zipper face up, and then your exterior zipper tab face down. You're going to go ahead, sew those together, pull them wrong sides together, and then top stitch and baste the raw edges. Forgot to mention, this is for the front zip pocket bottom. So we have our zipper done. I've already gone ahead on my exterior bottom piece here and put my nameplate. Make sure you are putting it closer to the bottom and not the top. On the top right side of this piece, I'm going to use some double-sided tape. Again, you can use clips here if you prefer. I'm going to take my zipper pull. I want to find my centers of this because we want it to be nice and centered, and just mark it on the wrong side. We're going to make sure our pull is closing to the left and bring these right sides together, matching up that center and either clipping or sticking it down like so. Then you're going to take your zipper pocket lining piece here. Again, make sure you have it orientated the right way. Find your top and bottom centers of this lining piece. I'm going to go ahead and put more double-sided tape along the right side of this, along the top. Then we're going to put these right sides together, so the lining and the exterior right sides together, and the right side of the lining piece and the wrong side of the zipper should be being stuck together like so, nice and centered. Sandwiching that tape. Then we're going to go ahead and change into our zipper foot so we can have a nice straight and even seam allowance here, and we're going to sew across there. Just like so. So now what we want to do is bring these two panels wrong sides together, give it a really good press, and top stitch through that bottom panel to hold that seam in place. That's what that looks like done. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put some tape or use clips along the bottom side of the lining on the right side of the lining piece here. And then we're going to fold this right sides together up and line it up with the unsewn wrong side of our zipper like so. We're going to take our top piece here. Again, make sure you have the top facing to the top and the bottom to the bottom. Along the bottom side, more double-sided tape or clips, whichever you prefer. And we are going to stick this right sides together with that exterior piece and the zipper, sandwiching that zipper, matching up that center. This should all line up nicely. And then go ahead and sew across there with the seam allows. Then we're going to flip just that top part up, not the lining part, just the top part. And we are going to top stitch through that to hold the seam in place. This is what that looks like all done. Going to make sure that it measures as per the pattern. Now what we want to do is kind of take the exterior piece and flip it up and out of the way and hold with clips. And along that bottom side, I'm just going to kind of press it really good here. I'm going to measure in 1 inch from each side and mark down like so on the linings. Then we're going to sew up here, getting as close as we can to that exterior seam where those seams meet up without sewing through it. That's what that looks like there. You can see I didn't quite catch that exterior. That's what we want. And then 1/8 of an inch away from that stitching towards the outside, you're going to go ahead and trim it away and then trim it away just below where our exterior seam is like so. Then you can go ahead and release your exterior down. And this is what that looks like. Now we're going to take our hidden pocket. Now I've already gone and pressed my zipper tabs here. All I did was folded them into the center and then folded them upon themselves just like a bias strip. Then you're going to take those little tabs and you're going to fold them over the raw edges of the zipper tape like so on the short ends for both. All raw edges are folded into the center there, and then we're going to top stitch through that tab close to where the zipper tape is, making sure to catch both sides of the zipper tabs to hold those in place. So that's done. Now we want to find the center wrong side of these again and put a little mark so we can make sure our zipper is nice and centered. I'm also transferring some of the marks to the, again, to the opposite side, making sure it's definitely centered. Gonna make sure this is definitely centered. And I'm gonna measure down as per the pattern measurements from the top and draw a line with an erasable pen. Again, making sure it's straight. I can see I didn't cut my piece quite straight here, but I will make up for that in the seam allowance and correct it as I go. Okay, I'm going to use some double-sided tape. Definitely use clips here if you prefer. Put it along the top side of the exterior piece like so. Make sure your zipper pull is closing to the left. And you're going to put these right sides together, matching up that center to make sure the center is nice and, or the zipper is nice and centered. Double check that it is centered. And then we're going to take our hidden pocket lining, find the top and bottom centers of those. On the right side, you're going to go ahead and either use clips or double-sided tape like I'm doing here. And then we're going to put the lining and the exterior right sides together, sandwiching that zipper tape, matching up that center, and clipping or sticking it in place like so. Go ahead and sew across there with the seam allowance. Now we're going to press the lining up, just the lining, and we are going to top stitch through the lining to hold that seam in place. So again, I'm sewing the zipper here. Still have my zipper foot on. And then I'm going to flip just the lining, pressing that seam towards the back of the lining, and then top stitching just through the lining piece. This is what we got here. You can still see the marks we got. Now what we want to do is kind of fold that lining out of the way like so. Grab your other lining piece, have it right side up on your table. And once again, I'm going to use some double-sided tape so we have the lining right side up. And then we're going to take that unsewn side of the zipper. And I'm just going to transfer that mark to the front so I can see it. And with the lining right side up and the zipper right side up, we're going to go ahead and match up the centers and stick it in place or clip it in place. Double check that it is definitely centered. And then we're going to take our front top panel and we're going to do some marking again here. So as per the pattern, I can't give measurements out on the video, so make sure you double check the pattern, draw another line as per the pattern with an erasable pen. And I'm going to put some double-sided tape along the bottom of this. And then we are going to put this right sides together with what we just had here. So the zipper tape and this exterior piece are right sides together, centered, clip or stick in place. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and sew through here with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. We're going to flip that exterior piece up once we've done that, as well as everything but the bottom lining piece, and then we will just top stitch through the bottom lining piece that we are sewing on. Okay, so that is all done. This is what this looks like. Now the fun part. That line that we drew on the bottom part, the exterior zipper pocket, we're going to fold along that line and secure that with clips to prepare for top stitching here. And this is going to start creating that hidden zipper pocket. Let's fold along that line and then fold everything else. Again, make sure it's nice and straight. Fold everything else down and out of the way. And then just top stitch through that top part that we clipped together, making sure we're not catching any of the hidden panel pieces. Just along that line, top stitching everything else folded out of the way. That's what that looks like done. Now we can open up this back up where it's supposed to be. Make sure your zipper pocket linings are hanging down, and you're going to bring that seam that we just top stitched up to that line we have drawn on the front top panel and clip it in place like so. Go ahead and clip along the bottom, all of the sides together like so, just part way down. Make sure it's nice and straight, and then it measures as per the pattern piece. If it's not the height the pattern piece says, or the pattern says, go ahead and adjust accordingly. Double check again that you got it, and I've got it. Pattern measurements again in the pattern, and you can see that's created that hidden pocket. Now, before we baste this together, we're just going to flip up until we see the hidden pocket lining pieces, fold everything else up and out of the way, and we're going to go ahead and sew across the bottom of it to close that up. And then go ahead and clip down all the sides and then baste down that to close up all of the pockets and create that hidden pocket. Isn't that magical? I just love it. Go ahead and trim off any excess zipper tape you may, or zipper tabs you may have hanging off. And that is our front pocket panel done. Now we're going to work on our back panel. So here is my back facing. I'm going to measure in on the wrong side of my zipper facing here as per, actually this isn't a zipper, this is a slip pocket, but it's done very similar to how we do a zipper facing. So do all your measurements as per the pattern like so, creating the box on the wrong side of our facing piece. Again, it looks just like what we do with a zipper pocket, but this is not going to be a zipper pocket. This is just so we don't have a raw edge along the slip pocket. Okay, so once we have that, we're going to find the top and bottom centers of this. Top and bottom centers of our back piece. We already have our Decovil Light fused on with that pocket piece cut out of the back of it. And now we're going to measure as per the pattern measurements, make sure these are nice and centered. So I'm going to draw a center line with my erasable pen, as well as the measurements as per the pattern for the placement of this facing. So we're going to have these right sides together. You're going to line the facing up across that horizontal line that we had made nice and centered. You can go ahead and use pins through that rectangle box that we had drawn on the back of the facing, as we will be cutting that away. And then we're going to go ahead and we are going to just sew along the top line here and the bottom line here. Do not sew along the little side lines there, and it just makes for a nice and seamless facing. So you can go ahead and change back into your standard foot for now and go ahead and sew the two long sides of that rectangle box that we had just drawn. Okay, so that's what that looks like. So now that center line that we had drawn, go ahead and just cut to that and then cut into your V's that we had drawn right up to where the end of our stitching is without cutting through the stitching. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take this facing and you're going to push it through that hole. Make sure to pull out the sides because we did not sew the sides of the facing, and that's just to make it so we don't have any tucks in there. This is brilliant. It's a great way to do the facing. Go ahead and press this facing in place so it's wrong sides together with the exterior. So that's what that looks like all done. Now we're going to take the, I think this is called the welt pocket piece. So I have mine in vinyl. I'm going to use some double-sided tape here to fold it wrong sides together, matching up the long sides, like so. decide which side you want to be your right side, and on the right side you're going to go ahead and put some more double-sided tape along the bottom raw edge of that and along the 2 raw edge sides. Take your back piece, so it's wrong sides up, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to stick this down, kind of matching it nice and centered, lining up with the facing there, just like that. You can see how it kind of gives a nice faux little pocket, I don't know, decorative thing there. Make sure it's nice and centered. You do not want any of the side raw edges to be showing through that top part. Once you have it placed nicely, you can take your lining pieces for that. Again, the folded top should line up with the opening of the rectangle that we had drawn. You're going to take your lining piece and you're going to put it wrong side up, lining up the very bottom of it with the bottom of that welt piece. Stick it down like so. And then you're going to measure 1/8 of an inch away from each side of that rectangle, because that's where we're going to know where to stop. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to top stitch just from that 1/8 of an inch line to the other 1/8 of an inch line underneath that rectangle to secure that first part of the pocket in place, as well as that decorative little strip we have in there. I am pulling my threads along and I'm going to tie these back off in the back. If you don't do that, make sure you backstitch at the start and the stop. Okay, so that's done. Go ahead. I'm going to just use a little bit of double-sided tape to help hold my pocket where I need it to be. And then you're going to bring that lining piece pocket down so the right side up of the lining will now be facing you, and stick that in place nice and tight. Take your other lining piece and along, again, the right side along the one of the short ends, and then place this right sides together with the other lining piece nice and centered over top like so. And then we're going to top stitch up that 1/8 of an inch line across the top and down to the other side, starting and stopping where that bottom line of stitching we did. And that will complete that rectangle's top stitching, as well as holding both of our lining pieces in place. Again, I am pulling my threads long. If you don't pull your threads long to tie off in the back, make sure you backstitch well at start and stop. Is our back pocket done? Go ahead and wipe away any of your pen marks. That looks good. Now what we want to do is we want to close up the sides here. Now when you're closing up these sides, do make sure you're catching the little triangles from the side pieces. It's already been caught in our stitching, but again, just for a little extra security. And you're going to go ahead and we are going to sew up just the lining pieces, all 3 sides, to close up our pocket. There we go. That is the back pocket panel done. You can see it fits my cell phone with lots of room. Okay, now we're going to work on these top strap tab pieces. So you want to find your top and bottom centers of both of these. Now I chose to use Decovil Heavy in these rather than Decovil Light. I just found it just gets a little extra security when I put my rivet through. So you're going to take one of your D-ring connectors and you're going to measure up as per the pattern piece and make a mark, or the pattern. And you're going to put this, so the D-ring is facing down like so, with the raw edge up and out of the way, lining up that line nice and centered with one of these tabs. Base that in place. Take your other tab piece, put them right sides together, clip in place. You should have that overhang. That's exactly what we want. That gives us something to put a rivet in for extra security later on. Go ahead and sew around here with the seam allowance. And make sure you leave the bottom straight edge open for turning. There we go. Go ahead and trim this up, but do not trim up where the tab is, just kind of around like so. And go ahead and turn this right side out. You can give the D-ring a little bit of a tug to help turn this out. Press out those curves nicely. You want this to look as nice as it can because it will be very visible and is a good, it'll be showing when you're wearing it as well. Put a pen or a turning tool in there just to poke those seams out. Once you're happy with that, once it's all pressed, you're going to take, I said, I used Decovil Heavy, and you're going to put this in and kind of make sure it's only sitting to one side of the seam. I put it underneath the seam and underneath my D-ring connector. Make sure it's in there nice and good, and it should be about a ½ inch from the bottom straight edge here. Once you like the placement of that, we're going to go ahead and use a few clips to hold everything in place, and then we're going to base the raw edge turning hole closed and then top stitch around the rest of it to hold the Decovil Heavy piece and everything in place. Okay, I also went ahead and I put a rivet in there just to make things extra secure. Take your back piece here and you're going to line up the bottom center raw edge with the top center of the back piece. Hold it with clips, and then you're going to take your handle and you're going to line it up right nice and snug up next to that strap tab piece like so. And then you're going to go ahead and base those in place. Once that is done, we are going to prepare our D-ring connectors for our slip tab, or our sling thing. Words are hard today. You're going to measure up a ½ inch from the left side of one, the right side of another, draw a diagonal line down to the corners and cut them like so. Next, you're going to measure up as per the pattern piece on the left and the right side of the bottoms. And this is going to be where we place these D-rings. So you want the D-rings to kind of be angling upwards towards the center like so. That angle that we just cut will help place that perfectly right along that line. And then we're going to go ahead and we will base those in place. There we go. That is all done. That's our back panel and our front panel complete. I've already gone ahead and done my zipper pocket and my lining panel pockets. If you need a class on how to do those, they're down below in the description. You do not need to leave the bottom of the zipper pocket open, as this is not a turned bag. Now I'm going to take my zipper pocket and my back panel and I'm going to put them wrong sides together, or my lining panel, my back panel, Wrong sides together, matching up your centers, and then we are going to clip these in place. Once those are together, you can go ahead and you can baste all the way around. Now, when you go to do the lining panel, you're going to notice that our exterior is bigger than the lining. So you're going to have it so the lining side is up so you can follow the sides of the front lining. And then you can use the lining once basted in place to cut the shape of your bag like so. And that shapes the exterior. And then you should be able to see that your lining or your front and your back panels are the exact same shape, which they are. Now we're going to work on our gusset. So I have my zipper pulls on already with my 2 zipper pulls. I'm just putting in clips onto the back. I've made my onto one side to hold my zipper pulls so they don't go flying off. I've made my zipper tape just a little bit longer for the reason that I can have those out of the way while I sew this. I'm taking one of my lining zipper gusset pieces and putting some double-sided tape on the right side. You can use clips as well. My zipper tape is also right sides up, and I'm going to stick it in place like so. Take an exterior piece. Again, you can use clips instead of the tape. And then you're going to take the exterior piece and put it right sides together with the lining and the zipper tape, making sure it's nice and centered and that our lining and our exterior pieces line up nicely. And then go ahead and sew through here with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. That is done, you're going to go ahead and finger press the exterior and the lining wrong sides together. I'm going to hold them together with a really good finger press along that seam and clip the raw edges together to prepare for basting and top stitching. Make sure everything is nice and tight away from the zipper tape. And then what we're going to do is the 3 raw edges we will baste and we will top stitch along the top of the zipper part right there. That is done, you can go ahead and do the exact same thing with the other 2 zipper panel pieces, making sure everything lines up nicely with the other side of the unsewn zipper tape. There is our zipper panel done. Pull your zipper pulls into the middle and you can trim off any excess zipper tape you may have. You want to find the 2 long side centers of this. So again, fold it in half and clip into the raw edges like so. Okay, so now we're going to take our gusset bottom pieces. This is my exterior piece. You're going to put it right sides together with your exterior. If your seam was accurate, these should match up nicely. Then you're going to take your lining and put it right sides together with the lining side, adding it into the clips. Then we're going to go ahead and sew across there and then pull these wrong sides together and then top stitch through the bottom gusset part with our seams pointing towards the bottom for this one side. One side done. The next side is a little more tricky with the top stitching, but not hard at all. So again, bring your exterior pieces right sides together like so, and then bring your lining pieces right sides together. We're going to kind of form these two loop-de-loop type things here. Go ahead and sew across there with the seam allowance, and then kind of bring them together, wrong sides together, and top stitch through the loop. Now what we want to do is kind of flip these around to bring the exterior and the lining pieces wrong sides together. They should be nice and snug when you pull them tight. It's easier to do this with the wrong side out. Pull them nice and tight, bringing together the raw edges. And what we're going to do is make sure they kind of got to tug them, and then you'll see they fit good. And then we're going to baste those two long edges, so we're working with one uniform piece rather than having to make sure everything is being caught when we do the final construction. So go ahead and do this for both of these sides of the bottom gusset piece, and then baste those in place. Once they're basted together, we want to make sure our centers are accurate here. So you're going to open up your zipper, bring your two side seams together and pull it nice and tight, and snip your bottom center and double check that your top zip center is accurate still. Do the same with the opposite side. Okay, so now we are going to take our pattern piece here and our two exterior pieces, and we are going to mark, as per the pattern piece, our quarter sections right here and right here. Same with on the front piece. And that is where the side seams of our gussets are going to match up. So we got our exterior front and our gusset piece right sides together. We're going to match up the bottom centers of both. Secure with clips. Do not be afraid to use lots of clips here. You definitely don't want this sliding around. Match up your top center. It's easiest to do this in quarter sections and then distribute the fabric evenly between the quarter sections. Next, you're going to take the side seam, match it up with that line that we had drawn on the exterior front piece. Put a few clips in there. Same with the opposite side. And then we're going to work quarter section to quarter section, making sure all of that fabric is evenly distributed. Now you are going to find, because we are working with curves, that it looks like the gusset doesn't want to go around that curve of our exterior piece. So just in our gussets around each of the corners, we're going to go and put little 1/8 of an inch little snips, and you will see that'll spread the gusset fabric out and make it more of a rounded piece, so it goes around that curve nicely. So anytime it feels like your gusset is not going to fit, go ahead and do those little 1/8 of an inch snips. Make sure they're no bigger than what our seam allowance is, because you do not want them to show in the final stitching. But it just helps spread that fabric around that curve. So go ahead and do that for the rest of the way around. Once we have our million clips in there, you're going to go ahead and we are going to sew all the way around here with our seam allowance. Now it does help to have a stiletto to get around those curves, and a zipper foot on it as well, because where our hidden pockets and everything meet up and our connectors and everything, if your foot is too wide, you may find that you will have a hard time getting over those thicknesses, even though you're not sewing through those thicknesses. But having your zipper foot on there makes it so you can go right beside the hardware and right beside where those hidden pockets and everything connect. It'll just make your life a lot easier to put your zipper foot on at this point. That's the first side done. You can see it all looks good. Go ahead and run your finger along to make sure everything was caught, and then go ahead and repeat the exact same thing with the opposite side. So there we go. Now we have our binding. Now if you prefer bias tape, I am doing waterproof canvas binding here. You can definitely go ahead and check out the class down below in the description if you want to do bias binding tape. Now I'm using waterproof canvas. I'm taking some double-sided tape straight down the middle. I'm using 1/2 inch double-sided tape here from Galaxy Customs. I also changed to a thread that is the same color as my binding. That way, if you get a little messy, nobody will know but you. Now you're going to put this evenly over the seam like so. You want to make sure that it is even over the center. So when we go to sew this on, we are catching both sides of this binding. Again, only do this type of binding if you're using a non-fraying fabric. Otherwise, you'll have to do bias tape binding. Again, there's a class for that down below in the description. So kind of take your tape and stick, and I use clips as well, just because I'm using a waterproof canvas, and sometimes the tape does not like to stick 100% to the canvas. And work your way around all the curves, smoothing out any little pleats. I like to line the edges of my waterproof canvas up with the stitch lines, so they're just barely covering those stitch lines. And if you do that and you notice it on the front and on the opposite side, you should be catching these nice and evenly when we go in to sew this together. So go ahead and work your way around. Again, I am using 1-inch strips for my waterproof canvas tape. Now when you get back to the start, you're going to kind of overlap them. I'm actually going to fold my short raw edge in, overlap where we started by about 1 inch. So you'll have 2 layers of waterproof canvas there. Secure with clips, just to make it so we have a nice and seamless fit. And then again, with our zipper foot still on, we are going to end up sewing this along with our main panel against the bed of the machine and sewing 1/8 of an inch away towards the seam, along the seam allowance. So 1/8 of an inch away, oh my gosh, words are hard today. 1/8 of an inch away from the raw edge of our waterproof canvas to secure it in place, making sure you are catching both the top and the bottom. I find this easier to sew from the gusset side on my flatbed machine, with the main panel facing down. If you're on a cylinder arm or a free arm, you may find it easier to sew this the other way with the main panel upwards and the gusset downwards. So whichever works for you, go ahead and sew all the way around. Done, make sure it was caught on both sides. If it wasn't, just go ahead and re-sew if you need to. Nobody's going to know, it's going to be hidden in the seam. So this is what both sides look like done. You can go ahead and turn this right side out. Make sure you're pushing out all of your seams, massaging them, getting them all nice and crisp. How does that look? See, that's pretty fast, hey? So again, poke out all of your corners, make sure all of your seams are nice and crisp. You can see my phone fits in there nicely. Take your crossbody strap or your sling strap. You can clip it on the left or right side. Pat yourself on the back. Admire your work. Binding is not scary. Do not be scared of binding. And we're done.
That's it, that's all. Wasn't that fun? Wasn't that fast? I really truly do hope you will try the bound version. It's just so nice not having to turn the bag, especially if you're like me and you have carpal tunnel. It's just so nice. Well, you do turn it, but you don't have to turn it and then turn it. Like, it's just, binding is awesome. And look at the structure it gives it. It just gives it such a great structure. Anyways, if at any time you did like this video, please do give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. If you'd like to support my channel further, you can always buy me a coffee. That's linked down below in the description. Check out the membership side of the channel in case there's something there that interests you, such as this one, which we did in the Thursday 2024 February classes. So those will be up for replay there. So if you wanted to check that out on the membership side, you definitely could. Anyways, until the next one, I'll see you guys again. Bye.